I've been making Plants vs Zombies videos for a while now. I didn't intend to stay in this niche for this long, but that's just how it goes sometimes. But despite making numerous Plants vs Zombies videos, I've never told you guys about the time I narrowly avoided death at the clutches of a cursed copy of Plants vs Zombies. It started when I was merely 12 years old, at a car boot sale. I'm not sure how common these are outside of the UK, but it's essentially when people gather on the rainiest and windiest days possible to set up stalls in the muddiest patches of grass just to display a myriad of useless junk or stolen power tools. But sometimes in this horrid assortment of long past relatives' belongings, you would strike gold and find untold bargains within boxes and boxes of old video games. The only place you can find Pokemon Heart Gold selling for the same price as FIFA 07. And it was on the most miserable, boggiest April day that I found myself rooting through a tub of Xbox 360 games, as a blanket of gentle numbing rain scoured my back when I felt a putrid warmth seep down my neck. My body jotted around on its own as I was left paralysed by my fight or flight reflex. In front of me was a broad and brooding man. Tufts of scruffy ginger beard lined his food-stained shirt. His teeth were consumed by rot and crooked beyond repair, but this story takes place in Britain, so that was actually pretty normal. Most jarringly, however, was the metal pot that adorned his head. Was it to shelter from rain, or for something more nefarious? I had little time to ponder as he quickly extended out his arm. His forearm was so muscular, a stark contrast from his pudgy physique. His distractingly muscular arm handed me a game I'd never seen before, Plants vs Zombies. I stared perplexed at the box art. This wasn't a game that I'd normally care for. At this stage in my life I was obsessed with shooters and horrors, so cartoon zombies just wasn't really for me. But I recognised the name PopCap. Memories flooded into my vision as I remember the days of fondly playing Peggle with my grandparents, and of Bjorn the Unicorn, a character whose face lined my most secret and intimate fantasies. In that moment, I decided that this was a game worthy of my pocket money. But as I looked up to ask for a price, the scruffy man had vanished. Deeply unsettled and unsure of what to do now, I seeked out my parents and stayed closely by their side. It was only in the car ride home that I noticed something was slightly off with the game. At first I thought the zombie had a cartoonish, friendly demeanour. There was something haunting about the game. The zombie's eyes were sunken and red, as if they were bleeding, and his teeth were all crooked and black, but this time it was alarming because this was an American game. I started to regret taking this game home, but something was drawing me towards it. I wanted to throw the game away, but I knew as soon as I was home, I'd be playing it without hesitation, as if it was fated. When the time came to slip the game into the disk drive, my arms felt heavy and I knew this was a mistake, but I didn't hesitate because that would contradict the last sentence. As soon as the disc tray was sucked back in, the entire console began to shake violently like the breasts of a woman written by a man. It only lasted a few seconds, but once it stopped, I was met by the last thing a 12-year-old child ever wanted to see, the red ring of death. Next to only Parents Divorce and Jimmy Savile, there was nothing more childhood shattering than that damn red ring. Despite its necrotic glow, the game began to boot up. This left me so perplexed, but my confusion was soon transposed by dread as the music began to play. It was slow and eerie. Despite being my first playthrough, I knew this audio was messed up. It sounded haunted yet lifeless, the kind of tune that would make some Japanese kids kill themselves. Everything about the dreadful sound made me want to stop playing immediately, yet I still progressed. The screen was void of all colour. The viridescent charm of the backyard I would come to know was replaced by a lifeless graze. It looked almost amateurish, like it was made by someone who's still kinda new to video editing, so let's not go crazy about it in the comments. The eeriness heightened as a strange plant walked on the screen. He had gangly green arms and grotesquely human proportions. His head was a shameless rip-off of the Pokemon Bellsprout and his eyes were bloodshot and nasty. He limped forwards from the right side of the screen and to my horror, he began to speak. "Please," he murmured, "find Crazy Dave." His voice trembled as he began to perish. A swarm of skittering insects rushed out of every foliaceous orifice as he drew his last breath. Beware the false idol. This weird video game had shaken me to my core. I lunged forward to turn my Xbox off, but alas, the red ring had consumed the entire console and couldn't be turned off. I yanked on the power cord with all my prepubescent might, but it did not yield. The scarlet glow of my Xbox grew more and more intense, the sanguine shimmer burning my retina with every passing moment. Somehow I knew the only way of ending this was by beating this cursed game. I picked my controller back up, which was rippled with beads of sweat, and pushed forward in the game. Zombies began to spawn, but they struck me as strange. They didn't seem very threatening. They were slow and somber. They would only make it a few tiles onto the lawn before dying. More zombies appeared one by one, then dozen by dozen. It was clear they wasn't here to attack me. They were running away from something. A humanoid figure emerged from the left. My jaw dropped as I realised who it was. It was the man from the car boot sound. Why was he here? How could this be possible? My heart pounded out of my chest as I was connecting the dots, very slowly because I wasn't a very bright child at all. Could it be? This must be. Crazy Dave? And as if the game had latched onto my very thoughts, the figure spoke back to me. No, he bellowed, with a hissing cur. I'm not Crazy Dave. I'm Crazier Dave. My heart pounded out of my chest as I had run out of ways to describe being scared. How was he responding to my thoughts? Thunder crashed outside of my window as I started to hear moaning from my back garden. My house was being swarmed by zombies in real life. I broke down in floods of tears as I realized what was happening. I accepted that the cursed video game had sealed my fate. Accepting that the end of my life had arrived early, I continued to play the game. Crazier Dave laughed mockingly. The only way to defeat me is with true love's kiss, he chundered. I looked over to my Sonic the Hedgehog bedsheets, realizing that I was doomed. I was a kissless virgin with rage. But it was at my absolute lowest point I heard footsteps clomping up my stairs. And in an instant my door swung open. It was regular Crazy Dave, and he was real. We simultaneously leaped towards each other in a tender embrace and locked lips, his unkempt stomach hair tickling my smooth hairless skin. His bristly beard scratched my face as he leaned closer and closer to my ear. The goosebumps lined my entire body as I anticipated his words. He leaned in even closer to my ear and whispered. So yeah guys, that was all real. All of that story was true and really scary. I don't know why I decided to make this video, but it was a lot of fun to go back and watch the creepypastas that I used to get so enthralled in as a child. I used to struggle to go to sleep because I was so scared of Ben Drowned and Sonic.exe and Herobrine. Those were the good old days. Now I struggle to go to sleep because I'm so scared that I won't make rent and get evicted. Just a reminder, I recently dropped a really good video about game ads that was doing numbers until it got age restricted and totally died. So make sure you go and watch that video to support your old buddy Shagrot. I also wanted to remind you guys to subscribe to my second channel, Shagrot's Side Quests. I'm going to be dropping an absolute bomb over there very soon and I'm really excited for it. Lastly, I just want to give a huge shout out to the YouTuber RCCH. About a year ago, before I was even making videos, they uploaded a video retelling their story about how their YouTube channel got hacked. And this week, that video saved my ass. I get a lot of shitty sponsorships come through my email, and sometimes ones I even like gamer subs. But this week, a brand I was a very big fan of hit me up with a sponsorship deal. I downloaded a zip file for promotional material, and literally moments before unzipping it, his video popped into my head, causing me to double check the validity of the sponsorship, and shocker, the email it was sent from was a Russian bot. So go show them some love on the most recent video, it's a really good watch, and tell them that they saved Shagrot's ass. Thank you all so very much for watching this video. Cheers.